right, Kristen. I know what you wrote about, but I'm going to go ahead and ask that question anyway. Tell me,
Oh my
what
gosh,
was your
Jeff,
topic?
what did I write about this week? What day is it? What month is it? What year is it?
I'm going to put a little bird in your ear. Maybe that'll help.
Ah, thank you. I really did just have a big bird brain moment. I'm like, what did I write about? Yeah, so I love antique hunting and antique shopping and specifically old books.
Part
And
of
when I get
Lillian
me
Disney will be played by. Anyway,
so my husband and I were on a trip back to Waterloo, Illinois, his hometown in Podunk, Midwest. And we were, of course, antique hunting. Cool thing when you live in a small town, everybody knows everybody. So the owner of the antique shop that we love to go to is on Mill in Maine, but he also owns the bed and breakfast that we stayed at, which was super cool. So we're walking through this bed and breakfast. It's a Victorian home from, over 100 years old. And we're walking through it like it was a museum. And out of the corner of my eye, I see this magnificent
there he is.
bird. Ah, and of course, my husband, not being nearly the Disney nerd as I am, he was like, "Yeah, that's cool, but what is it?" I'm like, "You don't get it. It's the bird. Like this started everything. This helped inspire all of the animatronics that we know and love and get to enjoy all over the world." And we wound it. We weren't supposed to touch it, but I don't listen to most of the rules. We wound it up, sat it down, and at first it didn't do anything, and I was like, "Man, it must be broken." And then sure enough, it fires right up and it starts tweeting.
Love it.
Yeah.
Firing it up.
Yeah. So while I'm doing this, let's talk about, you can fill us in on the significance of this bird with Walt and Lillian.
Yeah, so they, like Kristen and Eric, loved antiques. And from one of their jaunts on a vacation, some say France, some say New Orleans,
Hmm.
possibly both, doesn't really matter,
Right.
um, brought back a bird in a cage. And Walt told the Imagineers, hey, I want you to take this thing apart. I've got an idea for a show. And that show became, in June of 1963, Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room, which was the world's first audio animatronics attraction. And I think, as important, Disneyland's first air conditioned
I
attraction.
was just going to say that coming from Las Vegas, we love a good AC building.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
And
because the attraction was generating so much heat, of course, because of the mechanics of it, it was
well,
air
they needed to
conditioned
keep
out
the
of necessity.
computers cool,
Right.
because there's a room, or there was a room underneath the building, the size of everything that's at the surface level, that
Mm.
housed the ginormous computers that used to run the entire attraction. Now you could do the entire show on your iPhone, but that's a whole nother conversation. And so, from that antique shop on vacation, you get the birth of audio animatronics, Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room, again, Disneyland's first air conditioned attraction. Um,
Yeah.
but I love how you took the story, applied it to your story, and then everybody else's story.
Absolutely, because I think we can oftentimes feel trapped and feel caged and not quite see how our life, as we are, sometimes stagnant, sometimes not really moving too quickly in any direction, we forget that we can still inspire others around us. And this is a very humble, artificial bird that requires, someone else to wind it up. But it inspired the world of audio animatronics and the world of immersive storytelling as we know it today, like I said, all over the world. Um, and I go back to this a lot, and I don't want to keep beating a dead horse and singing the same bird song, if you will, but it's true. I'm a public school teacher, and while I love that, I also have a heart for writing and a heart for speaking and a heart for doing all these other big things that are far outside of my cage. And I'm not there yet. But I have to remember that doesn't mean I'm still not able to be used and that my message still cannot impact and influence and inspire other people around me. And that was the heart of my message this week is I wanted everyone else that was able to read it to know that too. So wherever you're at in your life, wherever you're at in your job or your family or your relationships, you're not stuck. You're not caged. Even when you feel like it, you are still able to be used. You still have an opportunity to lean into your calling and your purpose and to be used to inspire others. And I think
You can
that's
still
really what it's
sing.
all about.
Yeah, I loved how you did that. And it's a perfect segue because you are currently a school teacher and I got to spend the weekend with public school teachers.
Hey, we're kind of cool.
Yeah. And so Lindsay and I took off over the weekend to Wichita, Kansas, my second keynote in the Sunflower State. And I got to tell you, it was energetic. This
Yeah.
was 150 of Kansas' finest teachers, finest educators. I went to motivate and inspire them. I left motivated and inspired. And wow, I know we're going to be going back to Kansas and can't wait.
And Jeff, speaking of educators, you, like you said, just got back from your keynote in Kansas. And I heard that it was a little bit different than a similar experience that you had, what was it, 20 years ago?
I think it was exactly 20 years ago. So yeah,
Wow.
I started out in higher ed in southeastern Arizona back in 2000. And 4 or 5 years in, I got the bright idea that I wanted to bring a teacher education program to the campus that I was responsible for. And that, of course, meant connecting with local educators in Cochise County. And one weekend, just like this past weekend, I went to an educators conference. And right out of the gate, they asked the local teachers, "Why do you teach?" Which I thought was a great
Mm-hmm.
question. And an older guy who was obviously close to retirement muttered under his breath, "June, July, and August." And everybody
Mm-hmm.
just thought that was hilarious. And I thought it was kind of sad
Yeah.
because I love teaching, I love teachers. And I was concerned about the lack of energy and enthusiasm, quite frankly, the lack of passion.
Yeah.
And it's not been the case with every school teacher that I've come across. But I can tell you, um, passion matters.
Right.
And, a lot of times, we're concerned, do I have the right skill set? Do I have enough talent, right? Am I the right person for the right job? And those are good questions. Uh, I want to know, are you passionate, right?
Right.
And I want teachers who like students. I want
Yeah.
doctors who like patients. I want pastors who like people. And
Yeah.
we've all seen the exact opposite of that. And fortunately, this weekend I was surrounded by teachers who love students, who love teaching, who love education, and they can see the future and know that they are having a positive influence on not just the future of Kansas, but on the future of our country. And that was wonderful to see. And I can't wait to bring the wisdom of Walt to more spaces exactly like that.
Absolutely. And there's definitely a need for it. You hit something on the head just now, talking about just how infectious that is and how infectious that energy is. When you truly are passionate about something and you're doing it for the right reasons out of that passion, people tend to notice. And then that tends to naturally attract other people in that same vein. And I know, just because I know you quite well, you came back a totally different man, totally refreshed, totally energized, which then bled out onto me. And listen, Kansas, I know you're listening because we've got over 70 new
I
followers and
know.
friends from Kansas. So here's your shout out. You've got a
You
friend in
guys were
me,
great.
Kansas, because those kind of people are my kind of people. They are
That's right.
fired up. You can
That's
tell
right.
they love what they do. Man,
Yep.
that's exciting.
Yep. And
That's
so
good stuff.
you know, I wouldn't say we're starting a movement. We're catching up to a movement that's already taking place. And they love the
Yeah.
wisdom of Walt. I love them. And Love to have as many people come along as possible because, passion matters. And,
Right.
where energy goes, attention flows. And I know that just like Walt made a difference in, the world back in the 20th century, we can make a difference in the world of the 21st century.
Absolutely. And we have to remember what you just said, I think it was in one of your keynotes that I was watching from last week. We can't wait for someone to be the change. We
No,
can't
it's up
wait
to
for
us.
someone to be the leader.
Yep,
We've got to step up to the plate. And I think that's what we're trying to do here. We're not waiting for
absolutely.
someone to save us. We're going to go ahead and save us, and we're going to save a few other people along with us.
Yep. So you be the teacher you always wanted to have. You be the leader you've always
Yep.
wanted to work under. You've got to make the choice to be the hero in your own great story.
Absolutely. And with that, we're going to wrap up another great week here on the Wisdom of Walt podcast, and we'll see you guys real soon.